Calling America racist isn't enough for Democrats. They're now inviting the rest of the world to do it. The Biden administration is welcoming United Nations experts to fight injustice and inequality. Secretary of State Tony Blinken says it is to, quote, confront the scourge of racism, racial discrimination, and xenophobia here at home and around the world. And the White House is actually backing him up.
He believes responsible nations must not shrink from scrutiny of their human rights record. Rather, they should acknowledge it with the intent to improve it, and also push and lift up and shine a light on other countries that need to do better. And that is the role we're playing here from the United States.
Keep in mind, the UN's Human Rights Council that the White House wants to criticize America includes Cuba and China. Quick reminder, Cuba right now is rounding up thousands of people for protesting against communism, and they've shut down the internet so the rest of the world can't see what's happening. And China has been throwing over 1 million Uyghurs into concentration camps. Republicans like Nikki Haley are calling all of this just a bunch of nonsense.
You've got people being bullied and beaten in the streets of Cuba. You've got Venezuelans that are arresting political protesters. The U.S. is asking the United Nations, a cesspool of political bias, to come into the United States and investigate us on human rights. We look so ridiculous in the eyes of the world right now.
All right, so let's just save everybody the trouble. They're going to call us racist, Greg.
Yes.
Right? We know what's going to happen.
I already have the prediction of the conclusion. Systemic racism, It pervades America. Inequality in America is worse than ever. What's really needed is an anti-racist re-education plan in all of our schools. I was wrong about Joe Biden. I said that he was the least unifying unifier in history. He is unifying us because we're all getting really, really sick of being told we're a bunch of racist rubes. He's gotten to the point where he's actually inviting outside consultants to tell us that we suck. But it's all part of this greater pernicious attitude towards America. We can no longer think that we're exceptional because that's racist and xenophobic. Even patriotism, it stands out as an anomaly. The flag is racist. Apple pie is racist. We've seen these stories. It's like America last is our penance for being America first. So the taxpayer will be funding a trip for these corrupt bureaucrats to tell us we're bigoted as they double park and abuse our sex workers.
No.
That's what they do.
There's a report about that all over the Congo. They've been doing it, allegedly. So why do this? This country does not like the United Nations. We've never been fans of this institution. It's a corrupt institution. Why does the White House think this is a good idea, Shannon?
Well, you'll remember President Trump pulled out of the Human Rights Security Council, part of the UN, back in 2018, because as you mentioned in your intro, it includes Cuba and Venezuela and Russia and China. Don't forget, when we had this first top-level meeting between Biden officials and China officials in Alaska, just remember, a couple of months ago, they threw BLM in our faces and said there are a lot of people within America who don't even respect the idea of democracy. So why are we going to give these countries more ammunition via the UN to come after us and tell us that we're doing it all wrong?
It's like hiring a publicist that hates you.
I've been there.
You're going to get bad headlines.
If you work at Fox, that happens a lot.
But you know what amazes me is they're saying, all you people who've got your own problems, you come on our soil, you come to the United States, and you tell us how bad we are. And you have the right to compile the information. You have the right to report back to the world. How are they going to compile the information? Are they going to go into police departments? Because this is all stemming from George Floyd. And one of these rapporteurs, or whatever they call them, on human rights, and they are talking now about the fact that the United States has not really made reparations yet. I'm telling you, the end game here is reparations. In addition to trashing us after they come on our soil, if I were a police department, I wouldn't let them in. They have no jurisdiction. They have no authority. That's it. End of the game.
So the Democrats have spent the last 4 years, Jessica, saying that this country's racist. Why do we need to bring in an outside consultant to give us the UN opinion?
Well, I'm glad that you went to the ivory tower source for the answer on this. I do think there is a tremendous value of being part of international organizations, and I realize that I may be the only globalist or whatever I should say at the table here. No, not today, Greg.
Don't take the evil label away from me.
That's right.
And give it to Jessica. I own the evil.
Yes.
It's trademarked.
The saint of midnight, Shannon Bream. This is not just about us. It's about a community of countries working to do better. And I really do believe that. And the judge is correct. This did start with George Floyd. And the rest of the world was following our summer of protests and what had been happening even before that with murders of people like Philando Castile and Laquan McDonald, then looking at what happened with Breonna Taylor, et cetera. And they're horrified. And many Americans, in fact, a majority of Americans are also horrified by that. And I don't understand what the risk is in having this go on while we also have what I think is an appropriate response thus far to what's happening in Cuba, and this focus on the language of, well, you can't say socialist or you can't say communist. Every party just gets mad that the other one won't say it the way they want it said.
But Jessica, don't you have to admit that this response is out of proportion. When you say when you mention these cases that are horrible, you know, the judge has brought up the percentage of police tragedies is infinitesimal. I mean, it's almost close to zero. Yeah. So it's like, how much longer is the United States going to have to be told that we're oppressed by some of the worst countries on the planet just because they see that we have an open wound that they can pour salt into? I think that's why we get upset, is what we're living in a time where people are just coming up and getting free slaps because our media has basically painted us as evil.
And the sanction is to prosecute the Derek Chauvins. The sanction is to put a federal monitor over a police department. The sanction is to do an investigation. We've done all that. We've been transparent about that. It's not that we need this guy over there who's got 1 million people in concentration camps, the Uyghurs, to come and tell me that the United States is a racist country.
We do the judging.
Very good.
We
judge
here at
other
this
people.
table.
Like
They
it.
don't judge
Judge
us.
the judge.
So ordered.
You can't judge the judge.
Overruled.
I don't disagree with that, and I certainly don't think that we should be giving, equal participation rights to countries like China, to countries like Venezuela, and I think that the UN can get tougher about that.
Well, they
but
are
this
on the
won't
Human
just be
Rights
us.
Council.
I understand that.
countries.
I have long, especially with people's stances towards Israel, talked about some people losing their spots because that's our only Western democratic ally sitting in the middle of the Middle East, like a sitting duck all the time.
That's right.
So I think there is a way that we can look at ourselves, we can grow from that, we can police the police that need to be policed, and we can also open up other countries to these examinations. Angela Merkel is not going to close up shop and say, you can't come look at what's going on in Germany. They're going to look at the UK. It's just...
Who's they? China?
The UN.
UN.
You know what?
Official.
It's a free, all-expense-paid trip to this country. They're going to run up
It's
a
not
huge
about getting a
bill
great
at the
dinner.
hotels. They're going to run up a huge bill. And then they're not going to do anything. They're just going to smear us as racist, and they're going to pat themselves on the back. And then Joe Biden gets to say, see, we are a racist country, and then divide us
but they're
further.
going to demand reparations. Remember, I said it on this show. That's what they're going to come up
This
with.
is teeing up reparations, the judge
Yep.
says.